Hey everybody, Gail Craft here. Real talk, real answers from the heart. And today's conversation is going to be about facing the lies. Or are there lies? Now, I recorded this live on Facebook and I recorded it live on mute until lovely Tina popped in and I realized that a good 10, 12 minutes of amazing conversation went by. So I recouped and it was actually so beautiful because the conversation elevated with Tina there. So come and join us. Real talk, real answers from the heart.
You're telling me all this beautiful stuff has been on with sound off, right? Well, folks, you have just missed and the most, I think, one of the best presentations I've done from the hip. But we can start with Tina all over again. So one of the things that I was talking about is that we really don't have lies in our life. We have perspective. And so I was explaining, and I want to cover these two things, and then we'll go into a conversation. Two things. One is the different perspectives, and the other is my experiment with Maslow's triangle.
Mm.
So, perspectives. If I can sit back and say I'm triggered, whatever that word means, I have an emotional response, I can stop and say, okay, the story that I'm making up is from my eyes. First position. Here's what I think is going on. Okay, so I'm talking with Tina. Hmm, I wonder, second position, what Tina is seeing and what her story might be. And they probably don't match. Second position. Third position, if someone is observing us, the both of us, they're going to have a story and a perception as to what's going on. And it has nothing to do with what we think it is. And then there is the fourth position, which is the superposition. And I like to use not God, but let's say an alien is in a ship floating
Mhm.
above us and observing the three of us now. Their perception will be totally different. So,
Mhm.
is there a truth? There's just a story. There's just a story. And in doing that exercise, what's the purpose? Is to release your attachment to the story and maybe come up with a much better approach, much better conversation, much better relationship. And there are no lies, there's just perspective and beliefs and stories. And when I started experimenting with this, really about 6 years ago, one of the first experiments, and one of my favorite, is with Maslow. So I was thinking at the time, if I look at a rock is just a rock and it has no meaning to me. But if I lift the rock up and look underneath, there's moisture and there's worms and they are really important to the soil and to Mother Nature. There's a lot going on underneath that rock. But if I didn't lift it up, if I wasn't curious, I would never know that. It would just be a rock. So I thought, oh, where can I look under the rock or turn things upside down? And I started with Maslow's triangle, the
Mm.
self-actualization triangle. And according to Maslow and according to many yoga teachings, um, you can't move up the ladder if you haven't taken care of your base,
Mm.
right? And so it's a struggle up this ladder to become self actualized. And so it's a lie, struggle. There's the lie, struggle up the ladder. So I thought, what if I turned his triangle upside down, looked at it upside down? And I came into this world self actualized. In fact, I am self actualized. I am a being of the universe. So if I start from there, I'm not struggling up anything. I am sliding down wherever I want to go. And in fact, I have it all. That exercise 6 years ago blew my doors open. And so the word lie doesn't exist anymore. It really is, are you living your life from struggle and suffering? Or are you
Mhm.
looking at different perspectives? So that's about when you came in, Tina. I just did it fast. Sorry, guys,
That's
it was cut the mute out. I'll download the video and cut the mute out.
that's amazing. I wanted to come on because I just wanted to hear what you had to say about this because it's such an important topic, I think. And everything you said is just amazing. I agree. I think that one of the things I'm really learning is this is about awareness. It really is becoming aware of the patterns
Yes,
that we have created or been entwined with. And the more you can elevate above and see it from a higher level of perspective, the more it doesn't hurt, the more you alchemize. And I love what you said about self actualization because we're here alchemizing all of the stuff away to see we are self actualized. We have everything we need. And, and I also love what you said about perspective. I can have someone in my life that is literally lying to me. I can catch them in lies. But
yeah,
the thing is that they are dealing with their own perspective of what they're telling those lies for. So
right,
instead of being hurt by the lies, becoming aware and the patterns you play that feed those lies is what makes change happen. And
right.
so I really wanted to come on and say the most important thing to me to say about lies and revealing lies is show up for yourself. Be in your own truth. This is where your power is. When we lose our truth for other people, then we start living in perceptions of lies.
I
And I
love
just
that. I
so
love that. Go ahead.
important.
I
Yeah, I
do
just think it's
do
so important.
clarify. Do clarify showing up in your own power versus force. A lot of people don't understand
Mhm.
the difference. And when I used to hear the word power, I used to think of that masculine, okay, I need to tough it up. I need to suck it up. I need to come in hard. And believe me, I could do that. Uh, believe me. Um, but I learned as I softened, as I allowed the feminine energy in, that power is not force at all,
Yes.
right?
Yes. And because it's a quiet revolution that's happening within us.
Mm.
And the force to me is control. And you have control over nothing. You can control nothing. The only thing you can control is yourself. And that's where you and I were having that conversation about what is really important is living in integrity, living in authenticity, and then you added when we were talking intention,
Yeah.
you know, and I think that that's the equation, that's where the power is.
Mm.
And that's where each one of us is the answer. We look outside of ourselves for these answers from governments or from other people, but the truth is we're the answer. And when we really recognize that and step into it, we're unstoppable. And
Oh,
we're being all
absolutely.
called to do that. We're all being called to do that right now,
We
you know?
certainly are. We certainly are. And I love that comment about looking outside for the answers. We have been here is a big lie that, turn it upside down. The government is not here to feed me. The
Mhm.
government is not here to support me. The government is not here to be my father and mother.
Right.
The government economics was my minor. I almost made it my major. Whoops. Macroeconomics is here. Its purpose of the government is to serve the common good with interstate commerce and protection. That's it.
Mhm.
That's it. Right. And it has become more than that. And the thing is, we don't need the government to support and love each other. We don't need the government to assist each other. We don't need the government. We need intention,
Mhm.
right? That's it. That's it. We need intention. We need ourselves. Um, and you and I know there's a quiet revolution going on.
Hmm.
And it is not to overthrow any government, it's to turn our back
Right.
on it. It's just yeah,
Right.
whatever, just to turn our back on it. And and it's from love. That's the, all we need is love. John,
Yeah.
you're way, way ahead of your time.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, love is the answer, the love of one another. It's so powerful. It's so important when you're surrounded by that. Like when we talk about Diamond Beauties communities or all these communities that are happening globally,
yeah,
when you're in that love, you feel invincible because you're supported and because you're cared for. And it's not with materialism, it's with emotional. It's going into the heart of who we are, which is pure love.
that's it.
And governments, there gets to be corruption, there gets to be intentions that aren't for the best of humanity. And
Right.
so we have to hold that. We're being tasked to hold that, eradicate injustice by bringing love to all. So if we're not doing that, then we're part of the problem. When
Well,
we
we're
can
part.
live in our own joy and our own happiness and be true to ourselves and reflect that, then that's where you start to see the ripple effect of consciousness.
Yes, yes, and we are consciousness. That's all we are is
Hmm.
consciousness. It.
Right.
I think for many people, the lies are a trap because they're not educated or trained in the process of asking those questions and looking at, well, how does this even feel?
Hmm.
Right? And looking at it from a bunch of different perspectives. Like I grew up believing, all right, so I'll share, a story of mine. I grew up believing that I had to hide the fact that I was Jewish, that it was a secret,
Hmm.
right? And why was that? My father's family came from Russia, where they brought the Jews out in the woods and shot them. They ran
Hmm.
away from that kind of persecution. My mother's family was German. Think about that for a second. Okay. And so they had real fears that
Hmm.
generationally were brought down, right? Um, and so that fear was something I completely couldn't understand. Right? Like I couldn't relate because I didn't have those experiences, but it was a fear that I was taught,
Yeah.
right? And so I had to learn, first of all, to recognize it, right? So the process is, I had to learn. So we learn. Then I had to
Hmm.
understand, right? So, okay, so I understood where my father was coming from. I understood his fear. I understood why. And then I had to integrate the change, but that's not me. And so now it's not even, I don't even feel the generational traumas anymore,
Yeah.
right? Right. And so it is a process. So uncovering the lies or uncovering the stories and changing the stories intentionally. So let's not call them lies. Let's tell them a story that doesn't fit anymore, right?
Hmm.
Is that process. It's not like, oh, I see it done. I wish it was that simple, right?
Right.
But there is a process to go through in order for you to believe it. And the integration is believing it.
Yes, yes.
Yeah.
And fear keeps us from seeing and seeking the truth.
Right.
And fear, it when it's in us, it's powerful, and this is all an illusion. So we came to overcome the fear. We came to alchemize the fear. And that's not easy. So I give everyone so much credit that's doing that, that's stepping up and that's asking the questions. And if they're not the questions that resonate, they're continuing to ask the questions.
Right.
And that is something that takes courage. It takes a knowing that's deeper, to go deeper and deeper within ourselves, because that's where we'll find the truth. That's what the truth is,
Oh
you
my God.
know?
Yeah. Yeah. So I just started. So I've been getting
Yeah.
downloads so much. Like I got a whole course that I'm just like bleh, today creating,
That's
right?
awesome.
Right. But what did I write down this morning? And I was going to, I have so many I'm going to blog and then I don't, right?
Yeah.
Um, but what I wrote down was how I showed up like this, so I wrote down I want to talk about how I showed up like this and why I changed and who I am now. But the thing was I can't be a martyr anymore. Not for
Hmm.
you, not for me. right? And
Mm-hmm.
I think many of us in the growing up of toughen it, toughen up. So I was raised like a boy. Like, look, go
Mm-hmm.
defend yourself, like tough enough. You go fight your own battles, right? So I was the reason why I was a tomboy is because
Yeah.
that's how I was raised, right? Lots of masculine energy, lots of anger, and a lot of tough it out, tough it up. And in doing that, um, I denied myself many things, and so became a martyr. In that
Mm-hmm.
process, became a martyr, and it took me a long time to realize that that's what I was doing. I'm going to throw myself on the sword for you. What? You don't love me? I
Right.
just threw myself on the sword for you. What? Right?
Right.
Right? Right. But again, it's the lies of what is valuable, and I don't know what's valuable
Mm-hmm.
to you, Tina.
Yeah. Right.
Right? So how can I possibly assume that? Right?
Mm-hmm.
One of the other things I talked about, which didn't you didn't hear because I was on mute, was the College of MSU. So making stuff up. Our brain needs as much information as possible to create the image, not the words, the
Mm-hmm.
image of what is being told,
Mm-hmm.
right? And what we do as humans is we do not communicate in full detail.
Mm-hmm.
I assume that you
Right.
know what I mean when I say the word intention. I
Mm-hmm.
assume that you know what I mean. And you are filling in what that means
Yeah.
for you, and it may not be what I mean for me.
Yes.
And so it's not that we're lying to each other, we're not communicating in complete details.
Mm-hmm.
What AI is teaching us by holding a conversation about, well, would you like this or would you like that? Well, do you mean this or do you mean that? Would you like me to do this? Would you like me to do that? Is it's teaching me to use more details in my description,
Mm-hmm.
right? And there are sometimes I get one shot with AI because I give it enough detail that it gives me
Mm-hmm.
exactly what I want. And I'm like, whoa, right? It's not reading my mind. I have been trained to communicate with it,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Right? So that's the value
Mm-hmm.
of playing with AI is um, the less, the fewer times I have to go to the School of MSU, the better opportunity I have to create a picture in my mind as close to the picture in your mind as possible.
Mm.
Right?
Yeah. That's
Right?
good. That's
Yeah.
good. Even just talking, what popped right into my head was narcissism. That word gets thrown around so much, narcissism, And the thing is when we talk about even gaslighting, over and over again, why don't I believe myself? I'm telling you, you're gaslighting me. But the thing is, if I trusted myself, I would know what you're saying is bullshit. You know what I mean? So it's just like, I get, yeah, it is. It's about being clear, being aware, and, using our words, like you said, and not making assumptions that people understand what we're talking about. Sometimes I love when we're on these conversations and people start talking really technical or very spiritual. You do say, let's bring it back down.
Yeah.
Bring it back
Let's
down
bring it
because
back so
people
people
aren't going
understand
to
what
understand.
we're saying.
Yeah, exactly, exactly. Because we're using terminology that we're used to, but
Right?
that doesn't mean other people aren't either. And one of the things I want to share too is really for people who have gone through a lot, who have alchemized a lot, who are at a higher level of clarity and awareness. Please keep that in your heart when you're working with people who are struggling, because we were all there, and it's not to say we're self actualized, but we are getting to levels of higher understanding of clarity. And that is very beneficial in this illusion. And I think it's just really important that we just hold that compassion for everybody that's also alchemizing through
And
all
going
of the
through it.
constructs of confusion, because we have a lot of them in this society. And I think that we're calling this existential crisis to ourselves so we can see them, so they can be revealed. And we can
Yeah.
learn and get to know who we are and hold that love for ourselves in each other.
I want to share a story with you. I don't know if Cindy, if you're still on, but I had a conversation with her last week, and I kind of laughed. And here's the story. I was in my early 20s and I had a card reader channeler who was amazing that I would go to. And I showed up one time for a card reading and I walked in and she went, "You are an old soul." And I said, "Yeah, I know." And I said, "Am I going to come back? Am I done?" And she said, "No, you'll be coming back." And my response was, "Ah, shit." Right? Right? Because I was in the middle of, I mean, denying everything, right? And now I'm like, oh, this was so much fun. I want to do it again, right? And it, guys, it was not fun, right?
Right.
But from a different perspective, right?
Hmm.
From the position,
Right.
observing it from a godly perspective, it was fun because I learned and changed and alchemized through a bunch of crap that I
Hmm.
purposely created for me to wake up,
Yes.
right? You know, so talk about a shift,
Yeah.
right? And that's what happens. Imagine your life being a life of struggle to becoming a life of joy and fun,
Yes.
right? Being in the sandbox, right? Tina, thank you for coming into my
Yeah.
sandbox today,
Yes.
right? And
Yes.
playing with me, right?
Yes. And
Right?
the truth can't recognize itself without love. That's what people really need to realize is we won't know the truth until we return back to the heart. It won't happen.
We
So we
can't.
have to go back there. We have to go back to the heart of ourselves and the heart of creation so we can truly see the truth.
In the Kabbalah, there is a section right like underneath your rib cage, if you will.
Hmm.
It's the Ma'at, and it's called the abyss. And many, like Patterns on the Trestle Board, doesn't talk about the abyss. And
Mm.
a lot of times when you take a look at the Kabbalah, that'll be missing. Sometimes it's
Mm.
there. A lot of times it'll be missing. Why? Because it's so deep and dark, no one knows what it is. That
Hmm.
is the heart of creation. If you
Mm.
take a look at your energy fields, right? Anyone who does Reiki, it starts there. And
Mm.
right, and it comes back there. It starts, it comes back there. You do the infinity sign, it starts there,
Mm.
right? That is when I think of the heart, that is where it's located, not here, not the physical heart, but the
Mm.
spiritual heart starts right there. And that you can feel the difference in your
Mm.
life. You know, I was driving with my son yesterday, and again, here's some beautiful truths that came out. So our lies have become truths. Isn't that funny? Um, and we're driving, and I looked at him. I said, "Honey, the second that you came out, I looked into your eyes and said, 'There's the adult in the family.' I
Mm.
knew you were an old soul, and I knew we were connected, and we have been through many lives." And he said, "That's how I see my son." Right?
Mm.
And I said, your son is the walking image of love.
Mm.
Love. I mean, you look in his eyes and you fall into an abyss of love. You just
Mm.
and he's 10 now. So it's not just because he's an infant. He
Yeah.
still knows nothing but unconditional love, right? Once he loves you, that's it. He loves
Yeah.
you, right? And so, we were talking about what that it's like to be around that,
Mm.
right? What we can learn from that,
Yeah.
right? And so take a look at the children in this world. Take a look at the even the young adults in this world because the indigo children are here, baby. They're here,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
And they're questioning everything. Why?
Mhm.
Because they see the lies,
Yeah.
right? They see right through them.
Yeah.
Um, my life has been I was my soul, because I do soul realignment work and Akashic records reading. I am truth, right?
Mm.
And truth is from the chakra, so that I'm a seer as well.
Mhm.
And that has really been a problem for me because I told you I was raised, right?
Mhm.
And so I would call you out, right?
Mhm.
Doesn't work well in corporate, guys. They don't kind of like that, right? And so one of my truth lessons has been I can see the truth in you, but it's not my responsibility to fix you.
Mhm.
So I will look at you with compassion, but I won't fix you,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah, because the soul came to do that. The soul, each one of us came to evolve. Each
Hmm.
one of us is energy, and to me, love is limitless oneness, vastly expanding. We came here to expand consciousness. That's all we're doing,
That's
you
it.
know, and we're going to continue to do that for eons, for infinity, and so each one of us is responsible for that, yeah, and however we choose to do it, and that's why it takes lifetimes to do it,
Yeah.
because to come back to love and to continue to do that and realize that everything we need we have takes a lot of lifetimes.
It takes a
um,
lot of lifetimes.
yeah.
Past life regressions. I'll go to my last life, which is kind of funny.
Mm.
I went through a meditation with a friend who was doing that, and she says, "So what do you see? What's the first thing you see?" And I went, "Big feet, hairy legs. Oh, I'm a man." Right? And I was a fisherman, and I was also retarded.
Mm.
And what did I gain from that lifetime? Right? What was the joy? Was Fridays to take my fish to market and just people watch.
Mm.
I didn't care if I sold the fish or not. I loved the energy of watching the people in the market. And I
Mm.
learned so much from watching the people in the market, right?
Mhm.
Right. And so what does that mean? That means in this life, an observer because I practiced that,
Yeah.
right? Right. In a lifetime before that, there's a whole story behind it, but I was a girl who learned to read and do math, which girls didn't do in those days, but there's a whole story behind that. And what did I learn? I learned the love of books. I learned the love of stories. I was
Mm.
reading adult books at the age of 8. I couldn't
Yeah.
put them down. I was reading 3, 4, 5 books a week. My grandson does the same thing,
Yeah.
right? So what happened was the curiosity and the pushing for more information that I learned in that lifetime,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
Regardless of the odds, I wanted to know more. So in this lifetime, regardless of the odds, regardless of the people rolling their eyes, I ride dragons,
Yeah. Yeah.
regardless,
Yeah, and I
regardless.
love it. I love it
Mhm.
because all of that showed you that it's all energy, that there's nothing about being broken, there's nothing about being unfair. It's all about the learning and the growing and the expanding for yourself and for consciousness, those patterns.
Right.
So it's so amazing that when consciousness is exposing itself because it's choosing to, you
It's time.
know, yeah. I mean, we're all having these experiences and what they're terming waking up or becoming more superhuman or because consciousness is choosing it. And so I think that's very exciting. And I think it's amazing to just see that all of this, when you can look from that perspective, when you can truly look from that perspective, it's not so overwhelming too. It's like, wow,
No.
we're here to have fun. We're here to learn. We're here to grow. We're here to witness what is happening so that consciousness can become more
Right?
expanded, more expanded. Yeah.
And so if something feels like a lie, um, just understand that it's an energetic situation that is constraining, that is tightening, right? It
Yeah.
doesn't feel expansive, right? It doesn't
Yeah.
feel love. It doesn't feel, that's what alignment is. If it's constraining, if any of your chakras don't feel right, then it's not the truth for you. It might
Exactly.
be, it might be the truth for me, Tina,
Mm-hmm.
but not for you. So it doesn't make it a lie. It just doesn't
Right.
align with you,
Yeah, I like that. I
right?
like that.
Yeah. And that's okay. And that's why there are people that can have a different perspective than me, can have different
Right.
stories than me, and that's okay. There's no judgment there because they're on their journey, right?
Right.
And I'm
Right.
on mine. And there is so many, I mean, come on, my family thinks I'm a witch, right? Okay, want to
Yeah.
believe that, then that's
And
that's
follow the
truth.
threads of love. Follow the
Yes,
threads of love because they'll lead you to a good place. People, when they get into the hatred and the anger, and it is their perspective, but you see, it doesn't lead them to a good place, at least for their highest good. It leads to destruction.
right,
When we can let that go. And like you said, Gail, even if I 100% don't agree with you, 100%, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter because it's only that it's your truth and not mine. And we can still have a relationship and I can still love you and you can love me. But
right,
it's okay that we have different truths for each other.
right.
And I love that.
And it scares so many people who aren't here. And I'll share another story and then we can
Yeah.
get off because we're over time because I wasted 10 minutes on mute.
I saw you on mute too. I was so meant to come in here. I'm like, why can't I hear? I'm like, oh my God, she's on now. I thought you were coming on at 9. I'm
No,
like, so this was so aligned. It was so
I know,
aligned.
perfect. Well, eventually I would have looked down and said, "Oh, okay, you haven't heard all this beautiful stuff." You know, um, so I had a Reiki session with amazing Cindy. If you get a chance,
Mhm.
please do spend some time with her. Yeah. And she sometimes channels during that, whatever comes up is going to come up.
Yeah.
And she said, "I'm being told that you should show up for Sarah." And I'm like, I don't know a Sarah. Right. And so I've been thinking about that, thinking about that. Well, my ex-husband's last name is Sarah,
Oh.
Cerra. So I sent him a voice message. I said,
Mhm.
I'm here for you if you need me. I know that you're involved with someone, but I'm always here for you. And he responded back, well, what's there coming from? And so I left him another message. I said, there's no alternative motive than for you to remember that I'm still here for you.
Mhm.
Right. And I'm like, this is someone living in fear,
Mhm.
looking for my motivation and not understanding that me saying I love you doesn't mean I want to marry you or that I want to be with you. I
Yeah.
don't. That's over, right?
Yeah.
But I
Yes.
still love you and I'm here
Yeah.
for you. And fear doesn't understand that. And so I'm
Right.
just send him love and maybe we'll have another conversation in a week when I'm out in New England again and just say, I know that he's going through some changes that I didn't know at the time, by the way. I found out afterwards what's going on in his life. And, I'm just, you need me, know, period. And so, again, from perspective, where I'm coming from, where he's coming from, two different takes on a
Yes.
very simple conversation. And what is someone outside looking in from a godly perspective? It's just love.
Yes.
It's just love. Don't
Yeah.
read anything into it. There's no story. It's just love,
Yeah.
right? And so, guys, if it's not feeling right, then for you, it's a lie. And look for the truth. That's all
Yes.
we're asking. And it's in your truth. And don't think it's your truth forever because you're evolving and it's going to change. I
Yes.
guarantee it. So, guys, there'll be a couple of more, and then we will be changing this. I don't know what it's going to look like, but Tina, Linda with a Y, and I will get together and figure it out. Love you and
Great,
have a
great
great new year.
conversation. Mm.
Thank you. Bye, everyone.